Hello, Eddie. Hello, Eddie. Is everything okay? The mic, is it echoing or anything? I'm going to start this video. This is sound. I'm checking. Check my mic. How's the sound? Let me write that to you. How is the sound? Testing. All right, let me just
where you came in
skip through this
next to the elevators.
It's 5 minutes 40 seconds. This video.
Okay. Hearing no questions, I will
find.
turn
Look
the
at the
meeting
top
over
left
to our
to get the
NIST senior
action from it.
scientist and the
They
Champlain
hid the
Towers
video
South
content
team lead,
for the NIST
Dr. Judith
investigation
Matrani
in,
Reiser.
VIMEO.
Thank you, Tina. Good morning to everyone, advisory committee members,
So where's my
registered
audio?
guests, team
I
members,
just
and
didn't
virtual
wait a minute.
attendees. My name is Judith
How's the
Matrani
audio?
Reiser, and I am the lead investigator of the Champlain Towers
I should have
South
audio
NCST
now. Let me,
investigation.
Sounds
Today
good,
I will
thank
be
you. That's
sharing
me,
some
but we share
highlights
audio.
of the
Looks like she's
progress our
talking.
team has
Did you
made.
just jump through? Yeah, this is weird.
You mean after the fact, you were able to go to
yeah, what was
those,
that?
the source of the
There we go.
devices that recorded?
There we go.
I am grateful for the experts that we have assembled.
All right, so she's the one that's the lead for for putting together the team. Her agenda is, I think she's from Cuba, her background, and it's in some other weird stuff. But it's not really an structural analysis of collapsed structures, all right? So, but yet she's in charge of Glenn Bell, who's part of this team. Let's just jump to it.
And you'll be hearing more about this from Ken Hover in the Theme 2 channel.
Ken Hoover.
In October of 2023, we completed phase 3 of our invasive
I'm gonna fast forward.
reduces
I have not seen this, but I'm gonna fast forward because I just need to see the data. Her representation of the data doesn't mean shit to me. So this is a coring machine. It takes core samples, and that's a core. This is what it does. They have this marked up for a core to come out also. It looks like it's going to be going across steel. Or maybe it missed the steel. Maybe it's right inside. So there's center line. You look in the hole a little bit. It can verify it. And it looks like there's steel there. So it looks like they're going to miss the steel there. The coring machine, obviously, it's going down to that depth. It looks like a newer tooling. And that's its last step, which looks like about lines up with that. Then they take the test and you extrapolate, oh, it's this and it's that. Is it fair? No. You're taking a core and you're trying to determine PSI. In reality, this was a 1 unit. So there are machines that can literally test a section. So if you want to take it somewhere, you can test this entire section as a composite system. You could make much more cleaner cuts and put it in a damn press, and it would have told you when it would buckle. Not this theoretical, here's some concrete, we're going to extrapolate from there. That's just smoke and mirrors bullshit, guys. So it looks like that's their program for how they do this and that. Oh, this sheet here, I saw this sheet already. It's over here. This looks like they found the hard drive. So if you guys don't know it, I've had the mother for Bill D. Stratton. She reached out to me, guys, a year or so ago, and that's all it is, a hole saw. And you know, we had a very informative conversation. So this is a shout out to her also and her feelings, emotions, etc. Also the fire sprinkler guy, and if you guys remember when I did videos on this, I kept saying they paid full nut on the insurance, the $1 billion, because they were going to make this from here on out. They're going to make Florida premiums going to go up. I did an entire video on that. You can look it up in my playlist, and you'll see that. Well, I nailed it. Sure enough, all the Florida premiums went up. So this looks like, oh yeah, this is over here. The same images are over here. All right. I'm leaving the URL up so you can find it. If you want to find it, it's right here. You just have to, write it down. All right, so this is a tension test. In theory, you split this, and this tells you how much the concrete is strong in tension. And this one tells it how much what it is in compression. Yeah, I don't believe in this test. I believe this is a false narrative. Compression and tension, I think they're not real. When you put compression in something, you literally put tension in it also. So you're doing two things at once. When you put theoretical, that tension model in here, you're literally putting compression in. I mean, come on, you can see it, right? This is supposed to be a tension test. Well, that's not pulling shit away, is it? It's putting compression on it, and then they're going to extrapolate. Well, that was what it would look like. That's the tension value. That's bullshit. And that's the size of that. That's a standard test. It's still bullshit standard test. It's wrong. Usually, concrete is extrapolated to be 10% the strength of compression strength. So this has some values around 6,000 that someone sent me screenshots of. So that means in tension it would fail 10% of that, like 600 psi, which is just bullshit lie. All right, so let's move on to see what they say here. Who's speaking now? It looks like we should do this. This is okay. So this is that live. This is that camera from that guy that had the new people that moving in, the brother and sister, I believe. And this is the apartment, and it looks like they're trying to do a cutaway of that apartment only. This is not the roof. This is the view of that camera. So now we know exactly the view per what their statement is. It looks like this is the field of view. So with that said, the best focus is going to be the center of field of view on all cameras. And we're going this way. So looking into this image, the best focus and scaled items are going to be along this path here. The more distorted sections will be on the outside of the edge of the field of view, and here at the outside edges. And the further you get away, the more distortion. It starts leaning in, looking wonky. And play.
Prior to the collapse.
This is a 7-hour video, so I'm going to do my best to race through it.
Cam will also present measurements our team has taken from the south face camera footage of a nearby security camera. And Jack.
So this nearby security camera is a new camera. I put this video out a long time ago about, guys, there's another video over there, another camera over there in the corner, and there's one also in the front of the building, the other building. So I called this camera out, and they kept this hidden until now. So we're going to see what that looks like together. Someone sent me, an engineer wrote me saying, hey, look, your camera, man, it's there. They talking about it. And I said, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And here I'm getting to it now.
Jack Maley will describe preliminary interpretations of the collapse progression based on this south face camera footage. He will also summarize key observations taken from all of these vantage points and the interview data collected by our team. Now, before we move on to other speakers on this panel, I would like to provide a content warning to all of our in-person meeting participants.
The 09 stack unit.
Okay, so I'm biased against her because she's a FIU person, Florida International University, guys. Now, she didn't come forward when they had that bridge collapse with all her volunteer, let me tell you all, ring camera. Thanks, Eddie. I saw your comments. I can see your comments to the right. This, the screen you see, I see another screen to the right, just so you guys, so I glance over now and then. So her and the other FIU people never want to talk about the FIU bridge collapse. But all of a sudden, they want to come forward and snatch up this grant money to tell us all about what they can tell us about this. And I don't find her to be an expert in witness investigation at all. This will be her first ever time doing it at this level. She doesn't even have anything below that level. So this was just nepotism money handed over to FIU University. So my typical statement and stuff like that. Fuck them.
It's towards the pool in the direction of east and northeast. Given the direction of the push, which was given.
Okay, I got to back this up because someone said that this guy wanted me to know about those cracks. Let me see. There's someone who wrote me, noises in 11 stack units from above first floor before 1 a.m. This is what she's saying. Witness statements are stating. Witness statements often could be boogeyman. You're not hearing what you're hearing. Like knocking or hammer or table or change. Okay. Noise is getting louder and louder and more intense closer to the time of the pool deck collapse. Okay.
And in our interviews of noises being heard from above the first floor prior to 1 a.m. in the 11 stack units, which are marked in blue in the 3D image of the building. By the term stack, I'm referring to the group of apartment units that were stacked on top of each other and that were assigned the same last two digits due to their location in the building. These noises heard.
I think it's assigned the first two digits. Did she just say last two digits? The first two digits, not the last two.
Heard in the 11 stack units that night were likened by one of our interviewees to knocking sounds or to the sound of a hammer hitting the wall or table and chairs being moved in units above. The noises reportedly became louder and more intense prior to this interviewee experiencing the pool deck collapse. Next. On this slide, we'll give you one of the three examples of social science evidence that has...
Yeah, that's our title, social science. All right. So what about all this noise? I did a video on that about water hammer. I believe that part of the water system got activated, the alarm system. It's all within 4 minutes. This collapse and all. That it got activated and partially fractured. During that time, the water pressure kicks in, and it's also leaking, though, water pressure. So you have this water hammer in the pipes that you're hearing banging. That would explain the noise. It would explain all the noises in the entire stacks that someone could hear, such as banging.
Not been publicly reported in the media or captured in the videos of the collapse that we have collected. A resident of the CTS building reported seeing the direction of the pool deck collapse after a family member who heard metallic noises woke him up. As seen in his original drawing, this resident witnessed the pool deck falling into the garage from the building's edge beneath the 09 stack units towards the pool in the direction of east and northeast. Given the direction of the collapse, the family was rather surprised to see the post-collapse pictures of the pool deck, which showed that the pool and the jacuzzi were still there. Next.
Okay, so she's doing her explanation, all right, her narrative of which, and her source also. So that's good so far, actually.
Here you see another example of timeline-related social science evidence that has not been reported before. This one relates to the direction of cars near the south wall sinking. After waking up to a big gust of wind with a whoosh sound, a CTS resident reported hearing the alarms of the cars going off, which prompted her to look down to where the cars...
Now listen to her taking claim for it, saying this has not been reported before. Yes, it has been reported before about the car alarms going off. So this person is lying to the public now, saying it previously not reported before. That's a lie. The car horns have been reported many times that people heard car horns. So lie. So if you lie about something small like that, then everything's fair game. All right. So if you lie about anything, everything else is fair game. All right. Lying, it's fair game with respect to you being a government agent.
The pool deck had collapsed and the cars parked on the street level were sinking into the ground from the ocean in the east towards the Collins Avenue in the west. The sinking did not go over.
All right, so that's a lie too. The cars were not sinking into the ground. She makes it sound like a sinkhole. Again, this is what makes her a non-professional, all right? You can't use words like sinking in the ground. It would be like, okay, well, show me the car that's sinking into the ground. Not one car sunk into the ground. Wait a minute. Let me say that again. Not one fucking car sunk into the ground. There was a concrete floor there and none there. So this is what I knew she was going to be a fuck up. It was going to be a terrible pick by them. This nepotism bullshit.
All the way to Collins Avenue, as you can see in the photo here. Next.
I do like the way she says next, though. Next. All right.
On this slide, we will have another example of previously unreported information. While evacuating the building, a resident stopped running from across the Collins Avenue and looked back at the building as marked in the top photo with a yellow arrow. He heard quiet noises like something falling behind the building, as he put it. He remembered seeing at least 2-3 large horizontal cracks across the stucco facade of the collapsed part of the tower, as marked on the north elevation view image on the side. A
Next.
family member of this resident saw the windows or the sliding doors on the first floor of the building exploding. The resident then saw a huge cloud of dust blowing from the garage, which was getting bigger and bigger until they could not see anything.
Okay, let me pull up my YouTube channel here, and let me get you something. Hold on a second. Those cracks, right? Initially, I told the person to call me, an engineer, that this doesn't make sense. This is how would this person see it? Because the engineer told me this is from the pool side. This is not from the pool side. Listening to her, I can see now this is the garage, and these cracks. I'm pulling it up now on my other link window, so bear with me. So that would be search your channel, and that would be Champlain Towers collapse. Hold on, guys, I got to pull this up. I dealt with these cracks, and it's not 3. All right, it's not these 1, 2, 3 cracks. It's very interesting. I'll pull it over to you in a second. Hopefully, I used a good thumbnail that I can resurface real quick. Right now, I have 161 videos. So that would be near the beginning timeline. And so bear with me. And those cracks I addressed. All right, I addressed those cracks. Oh, just so you guys know, Georgie's here with me on the front of the laptop, keeping us company. So hopefully I'm trying to find a thumbnail. Hopefully I am trying to find the thumbnail. So, I know what this person would have seen. And they would have seen something. In their mind, they see 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the important cracks I want you to take note of. All right, so I have to tell you, I did a video on, let me see if I can open this link. All right, good. So let me move this over here for a second. Fuck. Let me do this. All right, let me pause it. I'll bring it over. And, okay. So I did a video on this guy here, and I called him Champlain Towers engineer, smoke and mirrors. I said because he's working over there at the wrong part, the collapsed area. It wasn't what they didn't need to look at. He was inspecting the pool deck by the jacuzzi, which we know didn't collapse. But I also, at the same video, I made. So here the section grouping I did. Right here with the cars, and now this is a private video now. I did it 2 years ago, and that's way before we saw the image come out with the tree plant. Now this guy here, I made fun of him because he was winking and on such a serious note. Maybe you guys don't know it, but I want to do a video on him, and it's about mental health. He went to a sheriff's concert. He's alive. He went to a sheriff's concert, and it was called that he was maybe attempted suicide. And the cops show up, and they determined that no, he's good, he's solid. Sheriff concerts, they let him go. He's leaving that hotel. He gets so far down the road, he pulls over with his wife in the car, and she was able to pull the gun away from his skull a little bit as he fires the gun, and he did shoot himself in the head. So he did call the mayor up beforehand and said, I resigned. So he wasn't doing it to give her a pension. Maybe it was a divorce or something, but yeah, there's the tragedy of that. And yet I had no empathy for him before this. But now we know that. Now you know that. Oh, wait a minute. Did it just show up on a screen or not? What the hell's going on here? Oh, I apologize. This is weird. I think let me see if I can change tabs real quick. I just did that. Oh, it's got to catch up. Shit. All right, so you're going to catch up. And I'm going to move this over here. Okay, and I'm looking for that crack, guys, as you wait. Hold on, I'm trying to find the, wow, I've got a lot of content there. The, the crack in the building, getting close. Getting close. Hell of a lot of content. Hey, Georgie. All right, I'm getting there, I'm looking at the thumbnails just so you know, so bear with me while I do that. Shit. I don't know where I put it. Shoot. Where would it be? So, it was a beautiful thumbnail. Maybe it's on my other channel. Give me a second, I gotta go back. Cracks. I think I remember something I would type it. Champlain Towers and cracks. They will identify shit. They will identify shit. You know what? I'm just gonna pull up the building, the Champlain Towers building again, and just a Google search and show you and show you the image. So let me grab some. Maybe I can still find it. The image real quickly. Yeah, found it already. That was easy. All right, so back to this. The cracks you're observing here, this is the driveway where the lady filmed from. Let's hear the rest of the statement first.
Including the actual collapse of the building. Next.
Nope, she said next, so let me back
Our
that up.
last example of media or captured in videos that night were likened by one of our interviewees. Science evidence helps us fill the gaps in the timeline of the collapse. Some of this interview-based evidence confirms information that has been previously reported in media and verifies what we have observed in videos of the collapse part of the tower, which my colleagues will share next. As mentioned in our June meeting last year, we also have collected and analyzed social science evidence that night where
Hold on, come on.
Science evidence helps us.
Ah, fuck it. You know the cracks, right? So let me just pull this over. So these are the cracks that I don't have time for that. Don't have time for that. All right. So these cracks here are what that person would have seen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I talk about these cracks in a video I made, stating how this shows it tugged on the floor. When this went down, this pulled this whole slab, this whole floor, and those are those cracks they would have observed. And so these cracks would be the cracks.
Fill the gaps in the timeline of the collapse.
That person observed.
Some of this interview-based evidence confirms information science evidence that has not been publicly reported in the media or captured in the videos of the collapse that we have collected.
Has not been reported in the media, so that's bullshit. YouTube, you know, I count as media, so
a resident of the CTS
and we know they blocked me after I showed that they destroyed evidence when I posted that video.
Reported seeing the direction of the pool deck collapse. Science evidence before. This one relates, which was
right here. These cracks.
Bigger.
So these cracks are these cracks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the amount of cracks that the person would have observed. It's kind of telling. It tells you that maybe the building did shift, that the person was able to get outside and notice that, if that's true, because it would happen so fast. Remember, it's dark out. So that would have been a significant crack this person observed. And it's interesting that they show it, that they talk about it further down here. So, talking to an engineer here now that wrote me, hey Charles, yeah, This is very interesting. If they saw it come this far back, that means that building was the whole. I would theorize the middle section was pulling in, tugging on there, and it also tugged on this way all the way across the slabs. And let's go back to the content. Okay, that was that one. Where'd you go?
Until they could not see anything, including the actual collapse of the building. Next. Our last example of social science evidence confirms the South Face video that was broadly shared after the collapse and that Cam will share here today. While evacuating the building with his family on the night of the collapse, an interviewee looked through a small side glass by the door of an emergency exit landing on an upper level floor. He then saw the 11 stacked units, which are marked in blue, coming down one by one like dominoes, as he put it. Before the 11 stacked units finished falling, the 10 stacked units, which are marked in purple, started to fall a few seconds later. It was as if these units were being dragged down.
So he's stating that these units fell first, and then these units. That's not the way the video shows. So,
having seen part of the building collapse, this interviewee was anticipating a free fall and pretty much getting ready to die. Luckily, he and his family members survived the building collapse. They are with us today. Tragically, 98 souls are not. To be able to find answers to all the families affected by this tragedy, we ask those of you who are listening to our presentations today to share your lived experiences and perspectives with us, as they can provide important context to the physical and audiovisual evidence our team has collected. The videos you will see shortly capture important moments during the collapse, but we still have many gaps.
okay, so they believe that the column is inside the planter box, as apparently presented here. I did a midnight video once. I said it's what people call the washing machine a lot of times. I said the column is inside the washing machine. All right, this is what they're stating here. Let's play.
2 columns from the 3D model are visible in the north-south direction on grid line M. Column M8 is visible at the end of the ramp, and column M9.1 is directly south of M8. It is important to point out that column M9.1 is located...
That's confusing me, because isn't that east, out towards the ocean? But so this would be, north would be the side we're facing, south side would be the ocean side. So this has orientation. So south of that.
Where the tower meets the pool deck, as denoted by the yellow dashed lines. Water appears to be falling in the foreground from the sprinkler system or other pipes along the parking garage ceiling. An SUV is parked in parking spot 20.
SUV, we went over that. And as you stated, water is coming from the sprinkler system, which I stated. And which I talked to the sprinkler guy. You guys remember I had him on here, and we had a good, he gave me hours along with these people. And I shared with you guys what I did.
7 to the left of column M9.1, with box 1 outlining the SUV's license plate.
Agreed, Hetty, about the head.
Most of the materials on the parking garage floor appear to be south of line 9.1, or beyond the tower's southern edge and directly under the pool deck area. In boxes 2 to 5, it is possible we are seeing the following. Within some of the area in box 2, we may see a side view of the fallen portion of the pool deck structure resting on the parking garage floor, with some material spilled northward under the tower. In box 3, we may see parts of planter boxes that were present along line M. In box 4, we may see blue patio furniture that dropped down from above. And in box 5, we see the location where the next column, M11.1, would be located. After careful analysis, we have determined that column M11.1 is not apparent in this enhanced still image or any other enhanced still images.
Okay, so they cannot find it. They determined it's just vanished. But the problem is, this is what? What is number 3 again? Let's back it up. Does he have a bulletin here? No. Let's back it up and hit
as they can provide important context to the physical and audiovisual evidence our team has collected. Okay. The videos you will see
enhanced image. Super resolution analysis conducted by the Remote Sensing and Visualization Project
Look, I did better enhancement than this. But let's go. Now we're going to find out what 3 is.
was used to clarify and sharpen objects in each pixel using an average of 10 video frames. Contrast and brightness enhancements were also made. Additional enhancement techniques were conducted in collaboration with the FBI to obtain various views of the pool deck structure and items on the parking garage floor prior to tower collapse.
Okay. So colorization help you understand it.
In partnership with the Remote Sensing and Visualization Project, we built a 3D model of the parking garage entrance.
I want you to notice something that I always found troublesome for me is this bent looking gate. Once you zoom in, it's almost as you see the stone here underneath this outside from this collapse, and this ramp goes up a hill. Yet it presents not as trash. When I was able to zoom in and work on this one, it looks like I could see concrete underneath the door even. This is a door. And here also. Now, when he zooms in, maybe it'll be better.
To help estimate the location and slope of the ramp, as well as the expected column locations at the angle the video was collected. From north to south, approximate locations of columns M8, M9.1, M11.1, and M13.1 are shown.
Approximate, he said.
2 columns from the 3D model are visible in the north-south direction on grid line M. Column M8.
Now I did a photography thing for you to show you that this is a solid wall, right? There's that concrete I talk about underneath that gate. This is a solid wall, and the way she zoomed in, that they have the view this way. In reality, they have the camera having a square this configuration. It's not true. It's way out here where she gets to feel the view. They start in the building, they go down, and they have this camera going wide like that. Reality, to feel the view changes. It doesn't change. It's just how it sees things in focus. So they need, just like you saw a second ago when they had that diamond square, the triangle shape, they should be doing the same thing here. And this is the part the camera couldn't see, but this will be to help you interpret its distortion. Like the gate and this, they look like they're leaning, yet the ground looks level this way. It's distortion. All right.
Is visible at the end of the ramp, and column M9.1 is directly south of M8.
Oh, we didn't divide.
It is important to point out that column M9.1 is located where the tower meets the pool deck, as denoted by the yellow dashed lines. Water appears to be falling in the foreground from the sprinkler system or other pipes along the parking garage ceiling. An SUV is parked in parking spot 27 to the left of column M9.1, with box 1 outlining the SUV's license plate. Most of the materials on the parking garage floor appear to be south of line 9.1, or beyond the tower's southern.
So he's saying this is beyond 9.1 because you don't see it in front, except for you have this anomaly right here. Remember, she moved the camera so fast. Digital cameras, they have to process stuff, and sometimes they're like, we don't see this. You went too fast. She moved it too fast, and they did say they had 10 frames they worked with.
Edge and directly under the pool deck area.
I came with the best thing like that.
In boxes 2 to 5, it is possible we are seeing the following.
Boxes 2 through 5, it is possible we're seeing the following. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see.
Within some of the area in box 2, we may see a side view of the fallen portion of the pool deck structure resting on the parking garage floor, with some material spilled northward under the tower.
All right. So
in
that
box
means,
3,
let's stop right there. So right there, that means after the building collapsed, that would still be there. It would be on top of there. So I did a video on that showing that, all right, with that in mind, that didn't get on top of another piece of material. So go look at my video content right now. That would be closer to some of the last videos I did. Oh wow, found some other stuff I did, like the wraparound detail was added. And go to, let me just skip much faster. January 24th, 2023. Oh yeah, like all this stuff here. It's in public. Okay, I'll show it to you. Some of it I got in private now. Some of it because it wouldn't come out of private. YouTube, every time I put it out of private, it bounced back. So where are you hiding out, little lady? And wow, some good stuff. The floor, the contractor, the scraping of it. I'm gonna let this play, and then I'm gonna look for it. So that's on the ground. So when they clear the surface here, is it my main video? When they clear the surface off, they scrape the deck, and when they're scraping it, we see the last bit of concrete with tile on it. That's a given. That shows up. I'm looking at George. That shows up. And I'm looking for it in my videos to your right. Where the frick is that tractor? Where is it? Oh, I talk about KLM reveal. Hold on. Is it? So play and then fast forward a bit. Come on, George, give me a break. And wait for it. I did it in small format. Interesting. So let me just drag this over and give you a glimpse of it. So this is them working right where they're saying they're looking for that column. The three NIST people, or Army Corps of Engineers, they were searching in that area for the that what I just mentioned, the KLM. And let's go back. And I marked them off the pool deck in a different version, but this was a drone image that showed up that disappeared, and a guy taking photographs from the now no longer allowed to have Russian news. YouTube banned them, their news. So this is the slab, that's down there. There's some cars. And where are you? What am I pointing out here? Brain right. I think that's where they started excavating and really tearing at it. Yeah, they used an excavator to tear these columns out. Instead of cutting them, they tore at them. They ripped them like they were breaking teeth, like they were just trying to pull out teeth. That's that H column, the H setup that's often known as, but it really goes further than that, further out. And this is them trying to find that column. The one that he says that he can't be sure what it is. They got asses and elbows down here digging into this thing. They found it, but they're not disclosing to us, as he just said, the truth about this right here. They were right here digging down. Will you see this right here? This is them right there make a notification of that column. They know what they're looking for. And they exposed it up to the last moment. And then I show a video where the excavator's on it. It's a flyover image. That's what it was. I call that the dog cam video. That's the dog. There's his balls, maybe. Maybe it's a girl, but I just like the idea of saying dog balls hanging there. All right, that's them triangulating, finding it. That's in line with that outside of the structure. They're there. There's the garage wall right here. They're literally diving into it figuratively diving into it right here, looking for it. So for them to say that this is unknown, well, that's bullshit.
We may see parts of planter boxes that were present along line M.
Say may. See, he's not even sure. May. He didn't say we do. May.
In box 4, we may see blue patio furniture that dropped down from above.
May again.
And in box 5, we see the location where the next column, M11.1, would be located.
And I have to say that it's more than likely there. It just can't it's a camera, guys. It's got to process data, and if this doesn't have light on it, it can't process it. All right, it's got to have light on it, something to pick it up. But this bright light here is, depending on how she had her camera set up for metering, it could have picked up on this more, or this light more. As you can see, it's blown out here. So it was trying to, it would, because of the bright light, it would turn the focus, the automatic aperture down, which would make it so it's harder to see back here. As you can see, this car it's only the reflection of this light that saves us. Interesting that they froze the time in picturing this one. I used there were some lights that were flashing in here, multiple color lights. It looks like they stopped it right around the blue light, because it was blue and red, maybe 2 color lights flashing.
After careful analysis, we have determined that column M11.1 is not apparent in this enhanced still image or any other enhanced still images. This column may be part of the debris pile, or still standing and not visible in this image due to obstructions or lighting.
Oh, there you go.
Column M13.1, which is further south than M11.1, is also not visible.
But yet we know it exists. We know it exists. And now here's the angle of I think he's going to say another building, but you can see how now it just gets invisible.
To give some more context, in the image on the left, you can see down the parking garage ramp in a photo.
See, it's not right out of there because she was parked on top of a wall across the street. So her angle was much different than him being right up on this, and we could see the ceiling. You could literally have gone over there and shot the angle.
Taken weeks before the collapse. Several of the columns are shown along line M in red in the north-south direction, and the building line, line 9.1, is shown in the east-west direction in yellow. In the top-down satellite view of the building, as shown on the right, the 3 basement column locations along line M from the building line and further south under the pool deck are shown for context. In the green box, the blue patio furniture and the locations of the planters along line M are shown above the area of interest in the parking garage. Lastly, the pool deck damage just described in the green box to the north is shown in reference to pool deck damage observed in the orange box to the south, which will be described by Chris next. Overall, the northern portion of the pool deck structure appears to have collapsed into the parking garage prior to global collapse of the eastern tower. Chris will now describe additional video evidence of pool deck structure collapse prior to tower collapse.
Here's Chris. Okay.
All right, thank you, David. I am Chris Segura, and I co-lead the Evidence Preservation Project with Amel and David. You've just heard from David about his analysis of an eyewitness video that confirms that the northern portion of the pool deck collapsed prior to the collapse of the eastern portion of the CTS building. I'm going to present to you a video from another point of view, indicated here by the orange circle, that confirms the finding that the pool deck collapsed before the tower. In this case, showing that the southern portion of the pool deck had also collapsed prior to the collapse of the tower. The video is taken from a camera that points eastward down the beach access walkway just to the south of the CTS property, with a portion of the CTS building visible on the left-hand side of the video. The images on the left and right-hand side of this slide show in orange the approximate line of sight for this camera in 3 dimensions.
Here's the camera. This is the one I said by the fire hydrant. When you go to that structure, and right here is a let me see if I can find it. It's not that easy for me to find this stuff as we're doing live stream. It's a building next door, and they have a security camera on the corner, and they have a camera back here hiding out. But this is the camera also that I was wondering if it had data for us. I'm looking to the right, my thumbnails, and there is no, that thumbnail's not that easy to grab. Hold on. If I pick that one or not. Sometimes I change the thumbnails just because YouTube was, they use thumbnails to shadow ban me. They got it all up, got me all bit jammed up though. They definitely locked me down. Just let it play.
Dimensions and a bird's eye view from above. For comparison, the perspective of the video David discussed is shown in green in both images. I'm going to step through several frames of this beach access walkway video and some supplemental images to make two key observations.
Just so you guys know, I've not seen this before. I'm doing this live with you. That's that wall, the Magellan wall, I call it, back down here. This is where that cop is going to be standing with the vest, the camera vest, body vest, body cam. And I'm looking to the right, guys, on that for that content of that camera and on my videos, but I didn't use it as a thumbnail, apparently.
Let's start with the initial frame of the beach access walkway footage shown here. The timestamp at the beginning of the video is 1:21:39 a.m., highlighted at the bottom of this image. I'd like to draw your
highlight it right here.
Attention to the yellow rectangle towards the top of the photo. This area shows a gap in the hedges that I'll continue to highlight as we step through the frames of this video. Using the first frame of the video as an anchor, I overlay a frame from a separate video that captures the onset of the tower collapse looking at the south face of the building.
Okay, so he's getting two angles trying to overlay the timeline. I see what he's doing here. The difference is this camera, I think, let's see. Yeah, this camera was on continuous record. This one was not.
As Judy said, you'll hear more on this video from Cam and Jack later, but I want to bring your attention to the timestamps of the first frames of both videos. We can see from the timestamp of the inset south face video that the tower begins to collapse at 1:22:17 a.m.
So it looks like multiple stages of collapse, multiple zones. Multiple zones. I'm going to pull this over for you. So here I show multiple zones that I think I've theorized there was 1 to 4 collapse, multiple zones, and yeah, multiple zones. And there's different thumbnails I can use. Okay, let's put that out of the way, and let's press play.
Or approximately 39 seconds after the beginning of the beach access walkway video.
Okay, so 1:21:39, cloud of smoke, no longer visible beyond there. So cloud, we'll call it smoke, concrete dust.
The beach access walkway camera initially records about 5 seconds of video, then pauses recording for several seconds and begins recording again at 1:22:24 a.m., which is 7 seconds after we see the tower begin to collapse in the south face video. This frame, which captures 7 seconds into the tower collapsing, shows dust and debris engulfing the walkway and moving westward towards the camera. Part of the privacy wall and hedges that were visible in the yellow rectangle in the earlier frame of this video are no longer visible.
Yeah, so this camera had a continuous buffer, if you will. Maybe every 2-3 hours, maybe every day it would rebuffer, but they overdo this one. This one, I think they misunderstand how the camera works, but let me wait for it.
By overlaying the footage from the beach access walkway footage and the south face footage at the same time, 1:22:24 a.m., you can clearly see that the dust and debris engulfing the walkway is from the tower collapse, confirming that this beach access walkway video includes footage from before, during, and after the tower collapse. About 4.5 minutes after the tower collapses, 3 individuals jog past the camera and stop to look onto the pool deck and street-level parking deck of the CTS property through an opening between the hedges and the tall privacy wall. 2 of the individuals are police officers wearing body cameras. Their approximate locations at the time of this image are shown on the right in the 3D model. Now, looking at the perspective from one of the officer's body cameras, we get a better view of the opening between the hedges and the tall privacy wall. The officer's body camera footage allows us to estimate the distance from the eastern edge of the hedges on the left side of this image to the tall privacy wall is approximately 25 feet. For comparison, we analyzed several photos taken between April 2020 and June 2021 from different locations on and around the pool deck, and we find that prior to the collapse of the southern portion of the pool deck, the opening between the hedges and tall privacy wall was less than 10 feet. We also find that a black metal fence was installed on top of the short privacy wall, as shown here. We can compare.
Hey, George. Okay, what do you have here? Portion of hedges and a metal fence are not visible in bench and beach access walkway. All right, there's a metal fence. I described this in a detailed video about how that the weldment of the railing was pulled that fencing off, that 10 foot off the top of there. When it went down, how it pulled it down, how it buckled the metal, etc. I described how that was removed from that fence. The hedges no longer visible from the ground, short privacy wall, tile privacy wall.
Compare these pre-collapse images to several photos of the same area taken soon after the collapse. The photo on the left shows that the hedges and metal fence that were once visible from ground level collapsed into the garage with the pool deck. The image on the right shows the extent of the hedges and the metal fence that were no longer visible at ground level to the beach access walkway camera after the pool deck collapsed. In summary, we make two key observations from this video. The first is that
Okay guys, I found that video. It was a private video. And here's that thumbnail where I talk about the video. It's private now, but where I talk about the tugging. Let's see if I can just pull up see if I can just make the thumbnail bigger. Let me see if I can just do this. Scrubbing the video. And here, these lines here, and this is called Champlain Towers collapse demolition. Second floor will be tough plus proof of easy rotation. This was the rotation, tugging on these. Proof is that. That's what those fractures indicate. Let's see if I can do better than that. If I do talk about the different steel that they go thicker, higher PSI to lower PSI as you go up in the building, and also the steel. This is what they try to claim that was the low path, and yet failure path of it was from vibration. Okay, well then that means nothing wrong with the structure, and I just call BS on that. And this is where they say what cars slope down. Some obvious stuff, but they jumped on that report like instantly.
People said, "Oh, you don't use a crane to remove this stuff."
Okay.
But it started here, rotating that. The top floors, that's why they look so much intact there, because they just pancaked it down. The front columns then rotated even more and floating, and they're all slabs, so they're all, do it again, hold on. So they're all slab going across, reinforcement, and it's just got to pull it off these heads a bit. They did their rotations and orientation.
So remember, that's all they had to do. They just on those heads, you can pivot on those heads easily once you start the fracture. Once these pancake down, so these are indicating a pancake floor. So this roof, pancake, 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 pancake. No matter what this report says, this is not just as they stated. These are indicators of pancake top floors, and these floors are indicating of rotating inwards. And that's that witness statement saying, what you saw, like 3 fractures. Ultimately, here's all of them, but you don't see any fractures here because there was no pulling on these floors out of alignment. Now,
12.
it's a private video, and I did this video 2 years ago, and it's just, it just gets blocked by YouTube now, so there's no reason to even do anything with it.
Roof deck. These are where the slabs line up with the building. As we saw in the first collapse, as I theorized that the first part of the floorings collapsed, pancaked more than the rest.
And then the rotation, and we get our rotation forward out there. Let's go ahead and push this out of the way now. I showed you that, so I'm going to actually not show that again, maybe. Let's go back to the content.
The beach access walkway camera captured the moments just before, during, and after the collapse of the tower. The second observation is that several feet of hedges and the black metal fence are never visible in the beach access walkway video because they had already collapsed with the pool deck before the beach access walkway camera began recording. Since we now know that the pool deck collapsed before this video and that the tower collapsed during the video, we can confirm that the south part of the pool deck collapsed prior to the tower. This footage and the video footage David just presented help us to confirm eyewitness accounts with video evidence. I'll now turn it over to Jonathan Wiggins.
Okay, Jonathan Wiggins.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning. My name is Jonathan Wiggins, and I co-lead the Building and Code History Project with Jim Harris. I will present an event-focused timeline of a video from within an upper story corridor of the Champlain Towers South building. A screenshot of this video is shown in the upper center portion of this slide, here. The recording began at 1:21:50 a.m. The image on the left shows the camera's approximate field of view in red within the building's typical floor plan. To help illustrate the camera's field of view in 3 dimensions, we can zoom in on the east-west portion of this corridor, vertically extrude the walls to its north and south, and map the corresponding 3D rendering onto a frame in the video. Events throughout the remaining duration of the video will be tracked along a timeline at the top of each slide. For better visibility, each frame is cropped to the boundary indicated by the red box in the left image and enlarged. The purpose is to better show the region of highest interest between grid lines I and L and immediately south of grid line 4, an area in which we observe vertical deflections of the corridor floor. This area is indicated on the drawing by the red shading. This first image, extracted at 1:21:55 a.m., provides the basis against which the relative movements seen in subsequent frames are measured. To track vertical deflections, it was necessary to fix a vertical reference from the foreground extending back into the image's perspective, shown here as the fit.
All right, so that's not the way cameras work. It would be that camera. It can show distortion, much differently. He's trying to say that that's the straight line. We see the converging lines too. This side to that side, they converge. I can see the handle here, the side of the box even, maybe the corner or just on a corner or face a wall. So no, you used to use different programs to that would help you straighten out distortion, and then you got to do some extrapolation. But no, that's not showing anything, and it could be even the construction built that way.
Fitted contour in white. The high contrast edge between the top of the dark molding at the base of the corridor and the paint of the walls was found to provide the clearest feature for use in placing such a reference. Within this view, grid line 4 spans east to west within the wall on the left side of the corridor, roughly along the center line of its footprint shown by the gray shading. Grid line 8 also spans east to west and is positioned 22 feet south of grid line 4. Grid lines I and K, which span north to south, are located east of the camera, some 40 feet and 60 feet away respectively. Grid lines 4, I, and K are overlaid on this and each subsequent video frame to help position observations in space. The reference line in red at grid line K is used to visually track the location of peak deflection. 4 seconds before this video frame at 1:22:00 a.m., the beginning of a loud rumbling sound can be heard that continues intermittently throughout the rest of the video. Soon after, the floor begins to visibly sag near grid line K.
This is interesting. So the floor visibly sags between the floor. The floor. What floor are we on also? Are we on the 4th floor? Is this 4 for 4th floor? I'm not sure what floor we're on anymore.
And at 1:22:03 a.m., a portion of the north wall
Or is that 4 feet?
near grid location K4 begins protruding southward at its base. The degree of this protrusion increases throughout the rest of the video. At 1:22:07 a.m., a change in reflected lighting on the carpeted floor west
Oh, he did a good job on that. The lighting, reflective lighting, indicates that we're getting movement.
of grid line K indicates a possible change in the angle of the floor relative to the wall as they deviate from perpendicular. Then for about 3 seconds from 1:22:08 a.m. to 1:22:11 a.m., the vertical movement of the floor briefly slows. By 1:22:12 a.m., the movement has resumed and there is a subsequent change in reflected lighting, this time east of grid line K, which can be seen at 1:22:14 a.m. In this same instant, a rapid intensification of the roaring sounds is heard, likely corresponding to the beginning of global collapse. 1 second later, at 1:22:15 a.m., the video cuts out. This is the final frame showing the full extent of the deflection. From this view, 3 key observations can be made. First, it's difficult to see in still video frames.
All right. So I have to say it's a biased position he has, because he's shown enough deflection at this point where debris should be coming down from above, or some other reaction. He's showing a significant amount of sagging at this point. That's he's not saying where the columns are, but that's significant. And how do you get that mid-span deformation where he's showing it? Unless we got the front of the building doing something, and we don't see anything moving here, but we have an isolated movement in his opinion. So I'm not sure if I'm sold on that. I'm not throwing it out, but I'm not sold on it.
But there is a deflection of the ceiling near grid line K that is compatible with the deflection of the floor. Basically, the floor and ceiling move together, which has implications in evaluating failure hypotheses that may...
Yeah, so he's saying the floor and ceiling's moving together, so that's why you don't get a fracture. No. Wait a minute, did I say no? No, we'd have some fractures going on.
Explain what we see in this video.
May.
Second, there is no appreciable vertical deflection at grid line I, indicating that at this point in the collapse, the damage is localized east of grid line I and extends at least to grid line L. However, this video provides little visibility beyond grid line L, so we'll need to rely on other video evidence to better understand the in-plane progression and extent of collapse. And third, there is no vertical deflection along grid line 4. However, we do see a small horizontal tug of the north corridor wall southward. Such a movement can be explained by slab tensile forces that would develop if the tower had begun collapsing south of this camera's view. This footage shows that prior to the tower collapse, severe deflections occurred in an upper story corridor of the Champlain Towers South building near grid location K4. These deflections were most concentrated toward the south side of the corridor near grid line K. Lastly, because these movements are somewhat difficult to track in a slideshow format, I will toggle twice between only the first and final frame. This is the first frame, final, first, and final. Next, I will
No. Now, there's too much other debris that should be present with that much deflection between his first and final frame. That's just got the floor sagging, and the wall is going with it. What did it do? Break from the ceiling? We don't see the lights move. Let's go back again. I wish I could. It's 106.32. So let's see if I can do this. All right. So let's take note. Instead of there, let's look at the lighting here. Ceiling.
Forces that would develop if the tower had begun collapsing south of this camera's view. This footage shows that prior to the tower collapse, severe deflections occurred in an upper story corridor of the Champlain Towers South building near grid location K4. These deflections were most concentrated toward the south side of the corridor near grid line K. Lastly, because these movements are somewhat difficult to track in a slideshow format.
All right, 6:18 in the video. All right, so let's look at the wall instead of that.
Format. I will toggle twice between only the first
Wall
and
lighting,
final
guys,
frame.
wall lighting.
This is the first frame.
All right, I see extra lighting here on this wall. I mean, somebody could open a fucking door and change the whole lighting on this side. So,
Final. First.
yeah. So here's some light that appears here. This light doesn't move. So his theory is the wall is moving also, but yet this light doesn't move, but light is added. And you might be able to get that from an opening in a doorway.
And final.
Yeah, I mean, look at it come across. That could be a fucking door opening up, and somebody get ready to leave, and that's it. So no, it seems it's consistent more with that. So no, I'm not going for that the floor deflection. I just don't see that. But
Next,
the
I will
video
hand the
shows up,
presentation over to Cam,
and maybe
who
we'll
will
show a
present
video.
the next video. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. In the next section, I'm going to discuss some of the analysis that we conducted on another video footage which captured part of the collapse of CTS. The footage was captured from inside one of the units starting at approximately 1:22 a.m.
So this is that ring camera, right, that they had mounted here. Let's hear his narrative. I'm going to end the video. Take a break from this video and come back another day. It's 7 hours long. So we're going to not complete it all today.
The camera that captured the footage was inside an 11-stack unit moments before the collapse. The clip that is playing here lasts 12.7 seconds and shows, among other things, debris or dust.
All right, this is elastic collision. This is the way things bounce. They come down, the angle, and away. So this is very critical if you could work out what's breaking that causes elastic collision. Is debris rain here.
Falling from the ceiling.
I would say it's the window, the frame of the window. He's saying the ceiling.
Onto a bar counter on which the camera was placed. The first second of video is frozen, although sounds can be heard during that time, while the remainder of the video captures multiple events taking place. This apartment was among the south-facing 11-stack units of the building.
It's over 360 videos.
Here's a closer look at the layout of this unit. One of the minor differences between this 11-stack unit and the as-designed drawings is that there was no wall between the kitchen and the living room. The security camera was located on a 43-inch tall freestanding bar next to the south-facing sliding glass doors leading out to the balcony. By fitting a 3D model of the apartment to a still image from the footage, we can approximate the position and orientation of the camera in the room. We can also estimate the field of view of the camera, which is highlighted in red here. And
When I did this video, I focused on the light underneath the door, the reveal. I focused on that, and let's see what they do.
And what would have been visible to this camera. However, as you will see in the subsequent slides, the position and orientation of the camera do not stay fixed throughout the footage. This is the last frame from a video captured by the same camera the afternoon before the collapse. And here we trace some of the edges visible in
right there.
This camera in green, similar to what Jonathan showed in his analysis of the upper story corridor footage, to make tracking any movements observed in the video easier. And this is the first frame from the video captured the night of the collapse of CTF.
Interesting, isn't it? It's the window. Everything else seems to overlay pretty good, except for right here. And I just said, I think the elastic collision is coming from the window, the wall frame, the door frame, and that's where it's mounted. So you're going to get your changing angles as it moves.
Yes, and we also trace some of the same edges in red. As you probably noticed, there was a shift in the objects we see in the image, which will also continue in subsequent frames. This image is taken approximately 1 second from the start of the video, and we trace roughly the same edges in yellow.
1 second? That's a lot of debris down there for that 1 second, he said.
We do the same thing 8 seconds later, where we trace the edges in orange. And finally, we'll repeat the process with the last frame from the video, in which we also trace the edges in blue. To further illustrate the motions observed by the camera, here we show just the edges, which we traced in the previous 5 video frames, as a sequence. We also anchor all the edges to a common frame of reference shown in red, which is aligned with the base of the partition wall and the line between the kitchen counter and the floor. Viewing the motions in this manner represents how things may have actually shifted in the room just before the collapse. Finally, some key observations from this footage are: material seen falling in front of the camera in the footage may indicate distress in the floor above or in the upper parts of the unit's walls. The movements of the lines observed in the room may indicate vertical shifting of grid line 9.1. Distortions observed in the kitchen partition wall may indicate that grid line L was moving down faster relative to grid line M, and Jack will discuss this further in his presentation. And finally, since we have not yet been able to determine an accurate timestamp for this footage, it is hard to...
So this grid line internally, is internal? Is he internal with that? Yeah, it's this one. So no, that would there's nothing to cause it to buckle.
Say precisely where these observations fit within the sequence of events leading up to the collapse. Next, Jack and I will discuss footage that showed the south face of CTS. The south face footage starts at 1:22 a.m. and 17 seconds and is from a security camera that was located towards the southeast corner of CTS. This south face camera captured most of the collapse of the building itself and has been a source of much valuable information, some of which I and Jack later will cover. The image at the top left shows the camera position and its field of view in orange.
Hey, Doss.
The camera was located approximately 300 feet to the south of the CTS facade adjacent to the pool deck and approximately 120 feet from the easternmost side of the building. Here we show additional views of the camera from before and after the collapse, as well as the laser scan we obtained as part of the calibration work we conducted. In addition to laser scans acquired to understand the location and orientation of the south face camera relative to CTS, we also acquired footage from the camera using a checkerboard target as seen in the lower left image. This target was placed in many different positions and orientations within the camera's field of view in order to understand and derive a mathematical model of the camera's optical distortions. This model was then used to correct or rectify the images from the camera. This
If you hear a vibration, that's George purring.
process corrects some of the geometric aberrations that typically occur when using wide-angle lenses, and the results can be seen on the right side of this slide. We also analyzed footage from the same camera that was captured during daylight from the day before the collapse. This helped us understand the footage from the collapse better in a few ways. For example, by zooming in on a section of the building and comparing known dimensions with the number of pixels that span those dimensions, we can approximate the size of each pixel at that location on the building. This helps us conduct some rough measurements of motion seen in the footage captured during the collapse itself. For example, by tracking the motion of certain building elements seen in the footage and counting the number of pixels those elements move during the time elapsed, we can estimate the velocity at which those elements may have been moving. Another way that the footage captured during the day can help us understand the footage captured at night is by clarifying why certain features of the building appear the way they do at night. For example, if we focus on this particular area of the building facade, we notice that it has a very distinct outline due to several hurricane shutters that had been installed. In this image from approximately 1.5 hours before the collapse, the same unique outline can be observed between grid lines K and L and extending from the 3rd floor to the top of the 11th floor. Next, Jack will...
Let's hold on for that. I found a video for that. I have of that. Let's look at this. This is what I have. It's K, L, and M. This is a party wall. This is a wall used for a party wall to divide the bedroom from the living room. I don't know what this bullshit he's talking about. This is some fucking shutter system wall. What the fuck is all that about? That's just crackery. This it should be noted also. Let me go back to that. Bring that back in here. That this design did not have the balconies fully wrapped around these many floors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wraparounds. They came up short. But in the new, they came up short some here, but in the new design, reiterations, it's now almost budding, sharing this column M.
We'll discuss the implications of this observation as well as additional observations
That's not me.
from this south face
It's
footage.
just echoing on his part. It's not a unique facade
Thanks,
shape.
Cam. My name is Jack Maley. I'm a co-leader of the Structures Project. I'll continue with the South Face video, focusing on some structural implications.
Again, this is the wall for the bedroom and the living room. We come out in the porch, the division wall.
Of what we can see.
I'm sorry, it's on the face of the building, so you can run it. You just don't run it up the glass, right? You just don't have glass over there and run it up there. You run it out to the face, and the glass doors and window on this side butt against this.
We'll start with a screenshot of the South Face video taken about 1 hour and 28 minutes before the collapse. We've added grid lines to identify approximate column and floor locations, and the unique facade shape described by Cam is also shown. Note that the plantings and the pool structures in the foreground block stories 1 and 2 from view, so we can only see above that point. Let's remove the grid lines so we can see things better. And the next frame in the video captures the tower a short time after collapse has begun. And this is the first frame in the video after the collapse starts. We can see that the parapet, the penthouse roof parapet along grid line 9.1 has dropped about 100 inches at grid line K. Based on the approximation of free fall acceleration, this frame probably is taken about 1 second or a bit more after the start of the collapse of the tower.
Free fall. It's got some connection. All right, so I talk about this in another video. I show you that the that the roof is part of the collapse, and so far he's not showing this wall, this this column collapsing at all. I'm looking for the content. I found my larger content folder, one of them. And let's see, go back again. Looking for my little model that you guys could come back and look at it yourself. Nope, hold on. Oh shit, I found the one where I talk about that camera. Over here. Here's the one where I show that camera. See the camera? I did that, it's private now. I did that back in 2022, March 16th, 2022. I did a video called More Cameras Found, I wrote. That's that camera view he showed. Right there. This is the one I was worried, I made a thumbnail of wanting to do it. So, let's see if, yeah, so here's the content. By the United States government, for you people watching Radio Europe on YouTube. 525 views. Which is a propaganda channel. Oh, we're talking about Champlain Towers South. Look at this person down here. What are they doing? Look like and up here are the video cameras. And there we go. That's the camera I talk about. This one, yes, it's facing down, but you can bet it has some angle of view that would incorporate part of this, well, the whole walkway, I would guess, down this building here also. And I stated that in my video some time ago. And I'll tell you what, let's try to make this public for you. So edit. Let's see if I can make it public. So public and done and save. I don't know if it's going to stick. But you guys can come look at it. And you can see I talked about that March 16th. Oh, that's like another 6 days. It'd be 5 days from now. It's going to be 1 year. 2022. Well, shit, that's 2022. That would be 2 years. 2 years ago, I bought this camera up. Now, you can't tell me they're not watching my content because they never mentioned this camera before, and all of a sudden they mentioned that one there. So I do better investigations than they do. Which one is it with my limited resources? I said I would get you another content on something. Let me go. I think it's near what I was saying. I don't know what it was. I'll know when I see the thumbnail or the title. Shoot. All right, so we're talking about this lighting. This guy here. Just trying to remember what it was. Come on, darling. Hold on. Oh, I remember now. It was the roof. So, let's see which one I'm going to grab. Champlain Towers electric outages. That matters. The electric out thing. I stated December 1st, 2022 that I would... Oh, shit. It doesn't let me open it that way. I said I would take you into the building. And I said Champlain Towers collapse. Now I would take you inside the building failure, not the deck failure. I stated that December 1st, 2022. And what they're going over is what I'm pointing at here. Things like the bottom of the cabinet and this here. Isn't that ironic that he's going over the exact things I already did videos on? And I'm going to leave that at members only. That they're going over that. 17 minutes long. And so, yeah, where are they sourcing their brain from? I wonder. I just happen to be ahead of them each time. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so I talk about roof deflection. And this is coming up on... Okay, so I figured I'd give you another... I said I'd get us inside the building. And this is the roof deflection. So these are the floors that folded over, and then the others ripped off. So you get some that folded and some that ripped off. And that's two videos titled, and it is public. Champlain Towers collapse, roof deflection failure explained. This is one of the videos on it. Now I come out of that, and I don't need that one anymore. Okay, so one more time on. I had a little cardboard model I want to show you. Where the hell did that model go? Yeah, I found it. So this is, it's public. Okay, so you can see this one. You can come and look at it yourself. So in this one I talk about, hey Georgie.
Good morning.
The rotation that had to take place along with this. This is critical. I don't know where NIST is going, but the one engineer that called me sounds like he's saying it just fell forward. Well, it couldn't have. This stuck into the stairwell. If it rotated forward, the bricks would have ripped this off. So to stop this from ripping off, this had to rotate forward. This is part 4, I stated. It had to rotate forward clockwise, butterflying, and the top deck. And that's that part where they think that they're observing. And this is one of my models where I show it. Let's see if I can open that up.
Good morning, people.
So let's just do that thumbnail, get to the model. So this is where I show that ductwork. This is public, this one. 1 year ago, 516 views. This is one of the stages of the models I put together. But this ductwork here was inside. Well, now this is one stage of it's on the ground. At one point it was elevated before they knocked it down for safety reasons, but it was elevated still. But this is inside the block wall. So there's no way that if they state that this thing rotated forward only, it cannot be true, because that ductwork would have ripped off with it. So first rotated clockwise and then down. I did a really enhanced video to show the roof details. That was 3 years ago, maybe.
As we click through the subsequent frames of the video, note that the unique facade shape drops down uniformly over the visible height. And this then, if you look at the various frames there, you can see other shapes also move down uniformly. This gets me to my first key point, which is that the unique facade shape move.
Okay, the uniform part is above, not below yet. We did a video on this. It's below, not above yet.
Moves uniformly downward, indicating that the failures that triggered the eastern part of the tower drop must have occurred below the lowest visible level, that is below level 3.
All right, this did not move down uniformly. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can see my content on that one. That one I did a million years ago. So bear with me as I find it to my right screen. I'm searching my videos. Yeah, that's brilliant. I think it would be content. See, some of it I put on the Billadu Stratton, so some of my videos are not on the Champlain. So let me go jump through this real quickly. Next video. I might be able to see it in the thumbnail. It was some time ago. So bear with me, I slow ass. Getting there. So I'm looking for rotation of the building. Champlain Towers, Casey's. What is a plinth beam? Champlain bulkhead. Let's let this play.
Coming back to the first frame after collapse has started and adding back the grid lines, we can identify how floor lines have dropped after the collapse begins in this first frame. The 12th floor provides the best point of view for reference to my eye. The white shape approximates the position of the floor from grid lines K through M. Note that K and L have dropped almost the same amount, with K perhaps a bit ahead of L. line M has not started to move yet. Repeating from grid lines I through K, we see that grid line I is lagging behind grid line K. This pattern of movement continues for several frames. The white rectangle in the upper right directs your attention to the column line P at the penthouse level. Let me toggle back and forth a couple times and notice how that column moves left as we progress forward. And
that would be how. How did it pull? For this going down here, how does it get over there? I just stated. It's pulling. The whole slab is connected. So it's shifting on the column. This is also anchor point holding it up. But at one point, the rebar that overlaps here is going to let it break free. And this section stays, well, this small section stays until the rest gets pulled down. So his pulling action, his indicator here is also on the back side. Remember I showed you with those lines? That's that pulling I talk about. And this is clearly the floors that start folding over towards us. And we see the rest of the roof line. Those are the buckle ones. But then when they go down, this also rotates towards, kind of clockwise, looking from the bird's eye view down, clockwise.
And I'll toggle back and left again. This movement of the column toward the left is apparently due to the tug of catenary action from the collapsing floors along I through M. Note that
it's like that.
That by now column line M is also dropping in some of the floors. This gets me to my second key point from this video. In the tower collapse, the columns at K 9.1 and or L 9.1 dropped first, followed by I 9.1 and then M 9.1. Let's remove all the grid lines except the vertical line intersecting grid line K, and we'll then click through several frames.
That's the roof right there.
And pay attention to the right of line K. Not so visible in this room, unfortunately, with the lighting. But a black shape begins to appear. And I've outlined that black shape, and it coincides with the location and the shape of the penthouse roof as I did.
All right, so hold tight. Remember, this can't go like that fully flat. This has to rotate in because of that ductwork I showed you. Let me fast forward. I'm trying to find the video of that. George is he's real pissed. He needs his attention right now. Okay. Hey, the black rebar there, we don't want to forget about that. I'm just looking at it, I just found that. See, I changed some of the stuff, like I said, to Ability Stratton. So I can't be sure. Okay, so I have to show you this. So at one point, I talk about, this is private, your sections, you get, I said first area of failure, this is where it's pulling, and this is the sketch I show, this was 2 years ago. No scratch marks, not failed section, no scratches on southwest or south. Draped. I give details. There's a fracture over here I've since revealed with people right there. Okay. So let's go back to this. The roof thing, right. I'm trying to show you the roof. So let me find the damn roof. Hold on. So when he first used that weird detail, it's not weird at all. It's for the brick. It's for the brick for the division of the walls. I hope I have the thumbnail easy. Let me just race through this son of a bitch. I did enhanced video of what was showing right there. Where are you? Maybe this is it. He raced through it. I'm bringing it over. So we don't need to play the audio, but he says "holy shit" at one point. And looking at the thumbnail.
I'm gonna give him some.
Units began tumbling onto the Nears unit and garage below. That was 122 and 9.
Okay, so we got 118. We got 4 minutes.
3 minutes.
I said 4 minutes. You just heard me say 4 minutes. That's what they said too. But that's the same thing. This is not the video I wanted. And let's go back and let him play. And then that way I can come back to that.
Identified in the inset figure. Notice that the vertical drop decreases linearly going from grid line 9.1 back to the north toward grid line 4.
Now, it's a buckle at this point. That concrete wall, see it stick out? It's no longer, the shape is deformed at that point. I did a serious video on this, not some half-assed job he's doing now. We went over frame by frame. I'm trying to find it for you so you guys can look at it later. I did a hell of a serious video on that. Yeah, I did an enhanced video of that. I'm looking for it. It might be on my other channel, and I don't want to go over there looking there. Demolition, just looking at the contents.
And there are some other nearly straight lines in the shape as well. In the inset, you can see that the penthouse structure has rigid infill masonry walls, which may help explain these nearly straight lines.
Well, it's this buckle then, you're not looking at the full width. He has it so, well, he's not clear, is he? Because he defined here, but I think that this rotated in, and this is about what we're looking at, a section about this size. Not the full size, because I see the different column shape, and we're mounted at the wall. I see some of our flaps that hung on the wall, and some that did not. I see the pulling from the wall that for it just to collapse down, we wouldn't get that hole in the wall up there that's missing. But if it was to rotate halfway the top floor, I'm sorry, this would be the very top floor penthouse, and this is that corridor, elevator. But you have down here the air conditioning units. That floor folded in. When it started to fold in, it took out the block wall to your left. And that would be under images of, let me see, Champlain Towers collapse. I'm searching on the other windows. Give me a second. George, chill out, dude. Images. I'm going to pull it over to you in a second as soon as it pulls up. All right, so where are you, sweetie? I see one, trying to get a better one. We'll just go with this one. Oh, shit. Right there. That hole right there. There was shit, it's better here. The video I did called Champlain Tower Collapse, Model Roof Collapse Part 4, 80% confident. That when the floor rotated clockwise in towards the center, it jacked this part of the floor, acts like a pry bar, cantilever, a pry bar, and it lifts up on this block wall, but when it rotates, it buckles the wall like this. Some of the aerial shots I have show that some of the block wall fell in here. Now their version is it just falls just straight off. So it just shears off here magically, just shears off. This is the floor level. Correction, that's the case. No, that's the floor level because there's a door. So that's the floor level that it just magically rotates down, including this. And somehow rotating down, it says, oh, can you come along with me? No. And for this, as he has it rotating towards us, this was stuck into that corridor wall, which is, if you zoom in, it would be, it would be there. Trying to see if they got a better shot. No. Well, it just shows you the better shot that I had. All right, so no to that.
At this point, I'd like to summarize the main observations and my third point here. As the columns on grid line 9.1 dropped, the collapse apparently advanced toward the north. At this point, I would like to summarize the main observations from all the videos and eyewitness accounts that the presenters in Theme 1 have presented. The videos and eyewitnesses accounts are arranged in a timeline at the top left, and there's a typical floor plan shown at the bottom left for reference. The first two of the videos, along with the eyewitness accounts, provide compelling evidence that the first major collapse was in the pool deck in the region shown. The parking garage ramp video described by David from around 1:18 a.m. showed that the north edge of the pool deck collapse extended to the south face of the tower near grid line 9.1. Additionally, the beach access walkway video described by Chris showed that by around 1:21 a.m., perhaps earlier, the pool deck collapse had extended all the way to the south perimeter wall before the tower had collapsed. Finally, the various eyewitness accounts, as described by ML, confirmed the pool deck collapse from multiple viewing perspectives. Because the pool deck failure likely initiated at a point and spread in different directions, it's not surprising that different eyewitnesses viewing from different perspectives saw the failure moving in different directions, as reported by ML. Just before the tower collapsed, there were distinct signs of movement and damage in the tower within the zone outlined by box 2. In the 11 stack unit video, Cam showed unknown material showering in front of the camera, which was mounted very close to line 9.1. Cam also showed distortions of the room that were captured by the video. Especially interesting to me was the horizontal offset of the partition highlighted within the orange rectangle. It is unlikely that the horizontal distortion was due to horizontal movements of the floors because they were rigidly connected by floor diaphragms to the surrounding structure. We used a simplified structural analysis model.
All right, guys. They're not paying attention to what cameras can do, and this camera is designed to be a still camera, and not a moving a stationary camera. Now there's something called camera wobble, the lens wobble, and you could just be camera could be wobbling, and it will give you this flutter effect. So it means nothing. I don't see what also you would see with this distortion, fractured and debris on the floor like you see here. So if it really was distorted this much, we would see some fractures and debris material. And I know the wall's moving here because I see the elastic collision going on, bouncing.
To show that a plausible cause of the horizontal distortion in that partition wall is instead due to vertical downward movement of the left side of the room, that is near grid line L. Similarly, the upper story corridor video analyzed by Jonathan showed floor sag in the hallway near grid lines K and L, just south of grid line 4. And that was just before the tower collapsed. This floor sag is consistent with vertical downward movement occurring within box 2, for example, along grid line 8.
Yeah, but he's got this so much movement and zero debris to show for it. Yet there's a little bit of movement over here, which is really a lot of movement when I'm saying little. And this is being ignored. This is what movement does. It's shit all here. No rain.
Jonathan also observed that the sags in the corridor floor and the ceiling above were compatible. This suggests that the sag was due to downward vertical movement of the supporting columns somewhere below that corridor.
This is another cocksuckery. He's saying the column's buckling. You guys saw the columns out there. They didn't fucking buckle. Show us the buckled column. Those fuckers lay down, I call them sausages, right? They lay down every fucking where. They were not buckling. So this guy, his engineering is worth bullshit to me.
Finally, the south face video and the timeline showed that the drop of the tower occurred last. It initiated at column line K and or L. Below.
Let's keep that clear. He says K and or L. So this guy's they got millions of dollars of budgets, guys, and they're down to the point of just fucking guessing instead of being confirming it. What a fucking waste of money, huh? What a waste of money. Millions of dollars, and he's saying K and or LM or L, K or L. I got videos saying fucking K or L. Let me see if I can pull that up real quickly. The M111. Did you say column line K?
The third floor level, and then it spread northward from there.
All right. Around the third floor level, third floor down here is what he's trying to say, that this fell down. So if this fell down first, these would have buckled down. I went over that. They're trying to do post hoc, ad hoc, post hoc. Let me look this shit up. I always get it backwards. Post hoc.
Post hoc.
Occurring or done after the event, especially with reference to the fallacious assumption that the occurrence in question has a logical relationship with the event it follows. So that's what he's doing here. He's saying the deck fall, now we know we got to start from the bottom up. But if that's the case, how do we get this section in the middle all stable? At one point, now it's not. This is getting compressed now. Starting to teardrop the building, pull it in. Well, I show that by saying that, well, think about the deck first, as opposed to the roof deck, and this collapsing first, and then the buckling happening later of the the failure between the floor and the columns, because those sausages not one showed buckle. Wait a minute, let me make that clear to you. Not one showed buckling. Not one of all of that. Now here is a video I did when it first came out, and was part of the standing second failure bolt depot. So I talk about KL and M. This is private now, and the sections here. Let me see if I got any scrub new video in this one. I go over this one like a bat out of hell. This one, and I went over this over 2 years ago, and I still have it coming from the roof first now, and not the column falling, because it's harder for me to look in the background thumbnail. It's harder for me to say that we got a bottom column falling, and as the building's buckling with the way the slabs interact with each other, that the next step is that the roof collapses and this section comes down together. We clearly see the roof is collapsing, and yet this is being held up. All right, We don't see it undermined that this collapsed in first underneath, because then you get like cantilever effect going all the way over, cantilever from one to the next to help support it, and it works its way up. Or you say 3 floors fell. Fuck it. He's not coming up with a reason why, just a solid reason to point it. He just gave 2 columns that could fail, and they appear to be grid lines 9-1. Okay, so he's on the face of his failure, that the face 9-1 is going out. 11-1, 11. Approximate straight lines. Yeah, that's the penthouse, all right?
While several aspects of the collapse are evident in the videos and eyewitness accounts, certain other details are less clear.
Well, you know, Radio Europe
pool
is that.
deck's collapse? Was the triggering event a failure within the pool deck? Or did some event in the tower trigger the pool deck to collapse? And how did the pool deck collapse progress into the tower? Subsequent discussion in themes 2 and 3 will address these issues and others. At this time, I'd like to thank you for your attention. On behalf of all the presenters in theme 1, I welcome your questions now.
Fuck that, let's hear a question for you.
Thank you, yeah. Could you put Laurie up to the screen, please?
Just for awareness of committee members, Cam is not with us virtually, so he won't be able to answer questions, but we have other members of our remote sensing and visualization project here today who can, and also Amel is able to answer questions virtually.
Good. Okay. Committee members, comments, questions?
Let's hear some questions, guys.
You did mention that there's one video where the timestamp can't be coordinated with the others, or you don't have a timestamp. Not material to my question. What is material is how did you coordinate the timestamps on the various videos that you have? What is the base for getting those coordinated?
So whenever possible, we took members from our digital forensic team here at NIST with us to collect videos from the source and verify timestamps in that way. This one video is the only one that we weren't able to use methods to be able to accurately timestamp this video. But everything else that we have collected at the source, we've been able to do so with experts that can do that.
You mean after the fact you were able to go to the source of the devices that recorded those videos and
Yes.
coordinate after the fact?
Yes.
Thank you. And one other quick question too. There was a mention of sounds coming from above by one of the witnesses, the hammering or something like that. Has that been rectified with the apparent observation that the collapse began below?
So I'll let Amel describe again those sounds, and then have Jack and Jim and maybe Glenn add to the answer.
Yes, thank you for the question. The eyewitness that we interviewed was describing these noises, and there were other eyewitness accounts also reported.
After I finish questioning this guy, I'm gonna call it a night. It's 4:30 in the morning here.
In the media. So he did hear, chairs being moved, table, as if it's a table or chairs being moved or knocking sounds. And actually, in our theme 3 discussions, my colleagues are going to talk about how we have evidence for different failure hypotheses. We have social science evidence that confirms or contradicts it, so we still need to do more analysis on these. But we do understand that, there's a discrepancy between, what some of the eyewitnesses were describing, hearing noises from above, versus what you've heard in the video analysis.
Good news. Looks like we're
about
at 15 minutes, guys. Then they take a break anyway. They take a break anyway in 15 minutes. And I'm going to make this public for you, this one. And it is Champlain Towers collapsed roof. All right, this is the my model that I made. Let's see if I can.
I got the light in his eye, so it didn't look right. Here's your roof. All right, your roof.
Here's the roof section they see come down. This is that back section, and there's that section there, and it's pretty long. This part is the shear wall right here. This is where the concrete block wall is missing. So it goes over here. Then it jogs out. The system jogs over, and right about there. Now, I think what we see is right about here, because the column is here, guys, and there's this beam system. And what I did was I made a model up out of cardboard to show you it. So here's the corridor. You come over. I theorize there's a beam there. You make a right turn. Over here is the ductwork. Let me let it play.
Corridor. You turn. Okay, George. And you come the back side.
And you go into the elevator.
All right.
Here.
So I bent this over to remind you that part of this material is flapped over.
Yeah.
I also have the section missing by the door. See the doorway there? The doorway's here.
The doorway's bent. If you remember the model.
There's a doorway here. I'm in line. I'm showing you some of the my thinking that I correct. So I'm in line with the wall system. Obviously, there's another wall inside here that I have to add. So it shows you, once you do the model, you're like, wait a minute, there can't be a beam above there because this wall's in place. So there, yes, the real images show there's a wall here, another wall. Think about that. We have the elevator wall, then we have this corridor wall. I remind myself by doubling this one up. All right, we'll add this together, and you have these multiple beams. I think this is one of.
See, I think this beam goes underneath here. Here's the roof, and it goes over here onto the shear wall system. The shear wall system being behind us. This is open floor here below. But here's just on top of a column, it's stacked. There's another beam that goes all the way across over to here to a beam. And then this is beamed. And then this is not beamed. This is a solid wall block. And there's block. This is all loading. So I theorize from, just draw a line down the middle. There's a beam here that's actually shaped this diagonal way. And these beams are shaped more square. One here and one here rather. And this one's turned the other direction.
02, and that's another one going back to here. I did it like this. Alright, so now it brings the question, which way did these beams go? Was it this way? Or was it that way? Either way, when it goes down, it pulls out the out from the structure over here from the other side of the wall. At least you pretend like that's in there. I'm going to grab a roof section and show you that this beam, there's a beam here, there's a beam across here, underside. The model to be improved for you guys in more renderings. But the roof goes across the top. And you see how it's supported across this here. How is it supported over here? Well, it has to be a cantilever beam over here. And that's that beam. When I finally finish doing the model for you guys, that's the beam that's going to be here. Our doorway is going to be moved over to it, and this beam will cross there, and then the secondary beam will go across here. So it's in my way now. I don't want to move it out yet, but I want you to understand there's a cantilever from here to here, and same thing from this internal wall that I have to do for you.
Support the roof
that they meet also, sort of like this issue here. But remember, we see the door, we see rebar across the door. The door was originally like that. I'm taking some liberty because I don't have it inside, right? So the system had to fall.
So this model, I'll throw this model up for you. It's already up. It's not private. But I only get 214 views. So this one is not private. Well, it's weird. I should be able to see comments, right? Huh. Okay, I'll come back. Let's let her play because we've got a few minutes before they take a break and then I'm done.
Collapse initially.
Thank you, Mel. Glenn would like to add to that.
Sure, and Don and others will have more to say about this for the balance of the day, but to answer your question right now, it's very important to differentiate the gross collapse of the pool deck and the gross collapse of the tower from initiating mechanisms, which could have been either in the pool deck or the tower. We have we think, conclusive evidence now that the pool deck collapsed before the tower did.
See, they're not even sure if the pool deck collapsed first or the tower did. Isn't that amazing? So remember, so they lack brains. All of them can't put shit together, you know, as I used to say as a kid. They couldn't pour piss out of a boot with the directions written on the bottom. Oh. So the tower, if it collapsed, Billady Stratton wouldn't have been able to make the phone call, would she? The other witness that left the building and went to the three on the first floor wouldn't be able to leave the building. I don't have time for this childish stuff. This guy's retired now. He needs to go home and use up his money and just play pinochle, whatever they play at their age.
In a gross manner. What we are still evaluating and analyzing, and this goes to your question, is what the initiating events were. And we have not yet concluded that the initiating event, that caused the pool deck collapse, was in the pool deck. It could have been in parts of the tower, and we'll elaborate on that more. Jim and others and Fahim have a lot to say about that, but
do you realize he just debunked his first people to talk about it's KL&M and everybody else about the witness statements about the deck going down first? He just said, no, we're not sure. These many millions of dollars into it, we're not sure if it's the tower first or it's the deck first. This is, what, $5-6 million? This is what you get?
The key point here is to differentiate evidence of the collapse from initiating events. And this point that you brought up is very well taken. It's one of the points of evidence that makes us question whether the initiating event was indeed in the pool deck or whether it was in the tower. So we have to chase this down.
Fully.
And to go back to the committee's report about how we have bidirectional information from social scientists and our engineers on the team, this is the perfect example for that. It allows us to take all of the evidence and analyze failure hypotheses together and evaluate everything and have us question ourselves, because we have sometimes pros and cons for each. And so it is very important that we're doing this together and not just looking at physical evidence alone in our investigation.
Aspasia? Okay, this is following up what Don asked. The witnesses that you have, they were located on which floor of the building? Because I'm thinking if they were higher up, they would hear more the falling of the chairs and the moving of the furniture from above rather than what was happening below. But
so she's thinking that, not knowing which floor it has this, quote, moving furniture. So that's a just asinine question.
If they were in the lower floors, it's unlikely that they heard what was happening above.
So we have consent procedures that also limit what we can share about our eyewitnesses, but your point is well taken, and we do evaluate the locations of individuals that we're interviewing in all of this.
Yeah, it's inconclusive where exactly they were.
That part's not inconclusive. We're just not identifying any of our eyewitnesses based on the consent forms that we have done with each of them. So, okay, but here we're not sharing it, but we are aware.
Oh, okay, so maybe this can make you think a little bit more about what is happening. May I follow up? Now you have this information about the beach access walkway. And you have noted significant damage, like the hedges no longer visible from ground level, or this damage, is it explainable, the rotation possibly, or what was going on there in the beachway?
You're asking if it's explainable for what's going on in the tower, or?
No, in the beachway. What was the transformation there, and why did we observe this damage?
Yeah, I think what we can conclude is that that portion of the pool deck had gone down prior to the start of this video, and in the videos that we've analyzed from, or the images we've analyzed.
So they got a conflict here. This head guy, the head structural guy, just said he no fucking know if it come from the floor or if it coming from the building. But this guy saying, we're conclusive, it came from the pool deck first, based on our analysis. So that's what I mean. He needs to go play pinochle or something. He's not. They made their conclusion. This team there, this group of three, that it's the pool deck first on the timeline. But he's saying, well, we're not sure. That's fucking crazy. That's just milking the clock. Or I told you I found him. He was a professor making mistakes with the students, and I was like, you know what? He's just an ACI stooge. ACI, American Concrete Institution. He used to be part of it. He's just their stooge. So he's he doesn't have a brain.
Analyzed from early, kind of immediately before the collapse and after, that the length we see of the kind of missing hedges and that black metal fence are consistent with exactly what we see after the collapse the day after.
Okay. And you also mentioned that you were able to see some patio furniture somewhere, which means, was it a collapse of a balcony, or?
Thanks for the question. In the parking garage ramp video, we may possibly be seeing.
Good. I was waiting for him to say that. He said may. He wasn't definitive about it. That was good because he wasn't definitive about it then either.
Blue patio furniture, which was located above on the pool deck.
It was on the pool deck, yes. Not on the balcony. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Esma. Kim?
Yeah, thank you. This is
No, that's a lie. It was not on the pool deck. It was on their porch, an elevated porch.
Really does show how you've got the team coordinating. But I'd like to ask a little bit from the engineer's perspective, how you utilized the qualitative data from those interviews from the social science team, how you utilized that in sort of what you looked at in the videos, or how did you use that to triangulate? Tell me a little bit about sort of how that was incorporated into your analyses from an engineering perspective.
This is private. I'm gonna make it public for you guys.
So thanks for the question. It is an excellent one. So the interview information has guided us very importantly on where to look for initiation and progression of damage. We have used that information to try to understand how one witness might identify the direction in which failure is occurring, and how that suggests directions that collapse might have been occurring in multiple directions. We're also using that information in...
That's right, the collapse in multiple directions. That's right.
Structural analyses to help us focus our attention on parts of the structural...
Champlain Towers, Jack Mullen. I don't remember Jack Mullen.
Analysis where we think there's the highest likelihood that collapse may have initiated. But the eyewitness accounts related to the sounds in the Unit 11 stack. We have been continually using those to refocus our attention.
Okay, just so you guys know, the unit, the eyewitness number 11, that is the first floor. I know that bullshit about keeping identity. She made it very clear, they did public statements on it, that they heard the noise, the banging noise. That she heard it specifically. So, now.
On what's in the tower, and are there weaknesses that we can identify?
But the problem is they make it sound like it's banging all over the building. It was one room, was it 111? And she said she heard banging, knock, knock, knock. It's her. All right? There's nobody else reported. They're all fucking dead except for the 8th floor. I think got out. The one person on the 8th floor, the old lady who prayed to God and got the car keys, blew out the candles, take notice of the crack in the wall, which is critical that they're not bringing her up as the eyewitness about the crack in the wall. I was waiting for the fucking crack in the wall stuff. That's critical.
In the column structure, in the very complicated pool deck structure along.
Because you have to realize the face of the columns, the weakest one is the face. It's got the least interaction with the slabs. Some of them have the deck wrapped around the columns. But next to that feature, as they call it, where the party wall is, the next one over is K, that does not have a deck on it, not until you get up further up. But over to your left more, it does have a wraparound deck on it, which gives you some more integration for the concrete stability of the slab.
That interface at the south end of the tower.
And the interface with the columns.
And so that interview information has been extremely important in that regard. I think later Jim Harris will describe some of those things that we've been focusing on that have been pretty strongly influenced by the interview information.
This is sort of a. Emil, did you want to answer? And then I do want to ask a little bit about thinking about how this can transform these types of investigations in the future, and
yeah. So this is marketing now. This is disgusting what she's doing. She's kissing ass for FIU and decided in the future they're going to always want a person like her to do extrapolation of witness statements. You don't need her. When you had those 3 guys there doing digital clock time stamping, they were much better. Where I caught her in a couple of lies that she said, and now I see her person that's sucking her off right here to keep that type of job going forever. It's now marketing now. It went from finding out what's going on to, hey, can we keep this type of marketing going? You know, this fund hole. Funding hole, finance hole.
Looking at this bi-directional work, right, in terms of this partnership. So it is really exciting for me to see this sort of collaboration between the social sciences and the engineering.
And I do want to let Emil answer because it's been very purposeful how she has embedded individual team members into each one of our projects so that we can facilitate this bi-directional communication.
And one more thing, if I might add, looking more into the future, more from a social science perspective, we typically do thematic coding of interviews, right? After we collect them and transcribe them verbatim. And in this particular investigation, we are also hoping to actually check some of the eyewitness statements about the collapse timeline, how they confirm or contrast with other types of evidence we have. Do they confirm or contrast the video evidence of the collapse, for instance, or analysis of the structure, the analysis of physical evidence. So we are going to do all of this, and also we're also going to.
Okay, let me show you who that lady was that I said was sucking her off. Right here. This is her. Vice Chair, Kim Schaaf, whatever that is. Doctor, right? Kimberly Schaaf, not PhD, doctor. I know, they use the DR. Is a practice-based public health systems and service research utilizing mixed methods. Her expertise is in the combination of qualitative and quantitative methodology for studying disaster. Her research in emergency public health includes a study of the health impacts of various hazards with an emphasis on earthquakes. See, this is just her saying, hey, we want to stick around. We want to keep the job going. It's just it's this crazy nepotism that's going on that she's talking about, along with this person here, which is I'm going to show you. I've got. I just want to see her bio.
Sure, we're also trying to look at whether or not we have within witness accuracy or across witness accuracy. So we are going to do additional coding. So for this, there's not too much guidance, but we have an excellent team. So currently we're having discussions on these besides the thematic coding. How could we make sure that we are checking the statements we are hearing with other types of evidence that the team has collected. Hopefully we can report more on those in our future meetings.
Thank you, Amel. We're running out of time. Have a short question, Don? Okay.
Oh, we still have 4 minutes, or 6 minutes, I think.
Well, it says 10:35.
No, it's still 10:40. Yeah.
So there's a new agenda. I don't have it. Okay, sorry about that, Don. Go ahead.
Just
I'll download that again.
Eyewitness accounts always are very useful, but often tainted by perception or lack of familiarity with what they're actually seeing, the trauma, the speed at which things happen. Sounds can be carried through the structure. Banging sounds can be carried by the structure. All of these things tend to raise suspicion about what you're actually hearing. No fault on the witness, but just how people perceive what they're looking at and then express to you their perceptions. So I'm sure you take that into consideration and don't necessarily consider witness statements literally factual.
We do. I'll start with Glenn, and then I'll let Emel talk about the kinds of team members that we have on our team to help us with this.
Don, you raise a very good point. I think part of Jack's answer was to a previous question was a very good answer, in that, and this is true throughout the investigation, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later about how we balance evidence for and evidence against certain hypotheses, but you have to look at the evidence in total. But, and I think we all agree with everything that you just said, but the evidence, this is extremely valuable in focusing areas where we need to understand what is said in interviews by looking for other evidence, doing other analyses and tests and so forth. It's been extremely valuable to us in examining, for example, whether the collapse initiated in the pool deck or the tower, just from some of these interviews. And
you hear that? See, he's the one that can't make up his mind whether it's the pool deck or the tower. All right, back to the noise again. The other guy said, yes, of course, as a witness to anything, it's how you perceive it. She heard knock, knock, knock. Remember, she speaks a different language too, so you have to determine what she means by knock, knock, knock. And then it was enough to her to go to the front desk and complain about the knock, knock, knock. I think that's water hammer. I think the deck was creaked, broke some piping, and that was water hammer going on. Low pressure pump might have been on before the high pressure.
We've been surprised to learn, what we find when we delve deeper into these some other areas and collect more evidence. But I agree with you 100%. You have to use the evidence in total, and every piece of evidence that you get, whether it's interviews in social science or the result of an analysis and test, possibly may lead to the need to collect more evidence.
If let me add, when we do the interviews, anything related to the collapse, we do it as a team. So it's not just a social scientist who is in that interview, but we typically have a structural engineer and others in that interview. And we not only ask for their accounts of what happened, but we also ask them where they were when they experienced a particular event or when they heard a particular sound. So we ask them to mark it on the map, and we ask a lot of follow-up questions about, what they were able to see. For instance, if somebody is telling us that they saw something in the pool deck collapse, then we are asking them where they were exactly, which window they looked through, what was their line of sight, could they see the ocean, could they see the south wall. So we ask a lot of follow-up questions to understand their line of sight. And again, we are also hoping to double check some of the statements, especially with respect to the collapse timeline, with other types of evidence and with other eyewitness accounts, and even let's say the observations of experts at the collapse site. So that's our plan. So we do several things at the time of interviews to better understand what they're saying, again, where they were, and that helps us a lot. And we'll do further analysis, further coding to check statements across different types of evidence.
Okay, so for her, this is her. All right, she specializes in disaster recovery and mitigation and sea level rise. All right, and she gets, her whole thing is about, she's a senior expert on several grants funded by the National Science Initiative Foundation. She just goes after money. She gets her own from the FIU. Incidentally, that's where her backing comes from, her position. And it's just nepotism to FIU. Bridge. FIU people. I think that's it on the video.
Okay, I have a comment and a question. But let's go for the question first. There were any other employees except, in addition to the guards, the night of the collapse, like maintenance people or something like that?
Pepe.
We have a list of everyone that worked earlier that evening and overnight. And of course, this is part of our prioritization of who to interview and for which parts of the investigation.
Were they interviewed?
We have consent forms that prevent us from sharing who we interview, and it's really important to us to protect identity.
Remember, she's running the show, and she's an earthquake person.
Of those that we interview, so that they will continue to share information with us in this investigation and in future investigations. But I promise you, Pepe, we are doing our best to find everyone with the knowledge that we're seeking, to have them contribute to our failure hypothesis evaluations.
Our failure hypothesis evaluations, S. But it looks like more like a diversity inclusion choice than anything. And all everybody's a fucking earthquake lover. Look, it's the person. Earthquake lover. I keep finding earthquake, one thing after the earthquake. Everything in them is earthquake or geotechnical. Geotechnical. All right, what does she do? Robotic systems, so maybe do some mapping. Standing soil visualization project, lead this. Performance of outstanding large-scale dimensional inspection equipment. So, inspection equipment, that's worthy. Geotechnical, another geotechnical. Hurricane, storm people, hurricane. Conservationist, you know where that's going. Okay, what we got here? Instruments, 3D vision, applications expert in nanotechnology, scanning LiDAR. LiDAR would be good. All right, you need that for the mapping. He is building code guy, so he's the one that's going to pull up. That's helpful. He's going to be pulling up the building code, which I already pulled up in a video. Yeah, I ended the video just so you guys know. So Champlain, pull up all. That's 344 on that title only. Pulling up for you. I should have the cover of the code book as part of a video I made for you guys. And where are you, sweetie? You can read the bio while I'm doing this. Bio. Okay, here we go. So I made this one. It's marked private, but this was made. I thought it would give me a timeline right here, right? Doesn't it? Huh. Details? Yeah. How about this one? Didn't change it. Okay, I gotta click on it. And so I made this one 2 years ago, showing that I have that book. And so that's what that guy's job is. He's the code history guy. So I literally have the hard copy of that book. Code 318-717, I literally have it. That's why I talk about the column offset issues. And it's ironic that, not ironic, it's weird that he can't see that the code talks about column offsets and structural issues with column offset, the tolerance of the 10% rule, and that's just some weird shit that hasn't come up yet already. And they're arguing over a video right now. All right, he's which is a co-founder. He was arranged material science. Okay, so he's a materials engineer. He says. He's just the engineers we're going to. Software and materials. Materials, that's good. Materials again, that's good. Carmen is cloud solutions. A librarian of the NIST. Keith is welder technician. Vincent Lee is our data visual presentations. Earthquake again. Earthquake again. This could be earthquake, China, 30 years of disasters, including 9/11, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I like that idea. Software. Well, that's that, all right? Here's the Judith person running the thing. She's the co-lead, and Glenn Bell's the co-lead. Glenn Bell says 45 years, 1974, some shit. Tufts University, where he sucks, I think. And up here, earthquake engineering. Let's finish this up to the break now.
I found in my experience that maintenance people and people who go every day to work at a place, they have a better perception of what went on.
Absolutely.
Damage, because owners tend to be more
Yeah, Doss, I see you.
emotional than the workers. So that's why it was my
Appreciate your comment. Thank you.
Yeah. My comment was to congratulate the team. Both, Kim said it before, on the integration, but too for the thoroughness of the evaluation of the videos and on the amount of information that you share with us.
Boy, he's sucking somebody off, isn't he? He's another one of them guys that they bring out here to suck them off.
That you were able to determine due
He's a
to the
fluffer.
exhaustive analysis of those. So my personal congratulations to you. Well, we don't have any other hands raised. We're done, Tina.
Okay, we'll take a short break then, and we'll return at 10:55.
Okay, so I'm going to end the video since they're going to take a break. I'm now taking mine. That took a couple, 3 hours, didn't it? So I just want to wish you guys a good night. It's 5 a.m. here. Let's see. No sun coming up yet. Looking out the window, the clocks have been reset, so it's an hour fast. Thanks for joining in. And I gave, well, you see you can follow the videos I posted. Just look under Champlain under my playlist, and also you have to look under Cassandra Billadu Stratton. There's videos there, and I have some more in another YouTube channel. But they missed the basics of the offset issues in the column. All this time I'm watching this, I'm towards torture. They're so focused on the videos instead of the structural offsets of these columns that are way out of bounds. They're out of the rectangular array for the code. Let's see if I can type this in real quick. I don't know if I can pull that. Pretty tired now. I took my sleeping pills early anyway. And they're not kicking in yet. Let's see something here. Let me try this. Let me add ACI to it. Yeah, rectangular concrete columns calculated to ACI. Well, it's the 318.19. And let me pull it up. Give it a quick glean. Nope, I can't pull that in. I can't share this screen. I'll get in trouble if I share this one because they own this. They own the software that I use. So I got to show it to you from the book, which I'll publish again on Tuesday. All right, so I don't know who's still here, but good night. Thank you for playing along, and that's the size of that. Trying to find out how to close the tab, believe it or not, now. Where are you? So there it is there. Let me refresh the screen. It should say coming up. Yeah, this should go out Tuesday. 315 views. This is the book that you're gonna look at. I think I'll point out rectangular array in here a couple of times. Well, are you see anybody say goodnight? I guess I should have bailed on that. What the hell are you? Stopping the stream's not that easy. Give me a second. Oh boy, time to stop the streaming is not that easy.